All right. Hello, welcome, and namaste. Thank you so much, Pratyush, for coming on this Career Journey podcast. It's going to be a fun episode. You have a inspiring journey of figuring out that you want to do masters in USA and then doing that and then starting your journey with one of the US job. And I think by now we know each other for about 6 8 months,
Yeah,
and it's been a fun journey so far. So with that, I want to give mic to you to share. Let's start with what you do and what your typical day and week look like.
I am a software engineer at OpenBB Finance. It's a financial startup that's based in US. And so we designed the software called the Terminal Pro that is a web-based software for equity analysts, but mainly any professional that wants to explore the data and do some investment research for their firm or for themselves. So what I do is I work for the platform. The platform is the software that powers the other software. So it's like the engine of the other softwares. And so I'm a software engineer in that division. So in my like daily to daily basis, what I do is that let's start with like sleeping. I sleep at 5 a.m. in the morning since I'm at the farthest end of the like employees because I'm in India right now and the other employees there are in primarily Europe or they are in the United States. One is there in Canada. So it's kind of like a dynamic that I am on the further side and the person in Canada, he's on the further end. So I have to wake up at night so that we can coordinate with each other if we have some issues. So I sleep by 5 a.m. Then I woke up at 11 a.m. So my day starts at like getting fresh and then like looking at the news in the morning, what's happening, what's the deal for the different like the different subjects. And then what I do is like to plan my day that I'm going to work on this particular issue that I have or this particular thing that I need to do today. And I start blocking my time on that basis. So I get ready and so I start around, you could say 3 p.m. I start my work and then I keep on working for like 7 to 7:30. It depends on the task at the hand. I work till 7 to 7:30. So in between, I take 15-minute breaks. If I find that, okay, I can now take a break. If I have done something and it's working for that matter, I just take a break. And then after like 7:30, I'm free. So I just go ahead and read some book or watch YouTube or think about something that I was thinking of, think for a project or anything, or talk to people on Twitter. Then at 8:30, I have my daily. So the daily is where we are aside, like we have to tell about our work, whatever we did in the day, and so on forth. And then after that, if we have our meeting somewhere at around 9:30 or 10, that's what I do in a 10. And then again, I go on a daily Twitter space that we have. So I go there, I talk to some people. It acts as a refresher for me throughout the day. And then when that ends by around 12 or 1 a.m. in the morning, I go and work again. So that's the time at the end where I am still looking at the work that I have left and I still think about what I have done during the day and how I can manage this task better for the next day. And so that's what I do till like 4 or like 3:30 a.m. in the morning. Then I go back and watch some episode like a TV series or something. Currently, I'm watching Naruto, and then I go back to sleep. So that's how my typical day looks like.
I have never seen somebody who would start watching an episode at 4 a.m. until 5. Like, this is the weirdest.
It's actually a trick. It's actually a trick. What I do is that when it's night, at around like after the Twitter space ends, I go and turn off my light because when the light is turned off, now you know that okay, no light is there, so you cannot like wake up for a long time. So it kind of like induces that sleepiness. And so when I go back and go to my bed, I'm going to watch. I know how I'm going to watch. I'm just gonna go and lay down, and then I'm gonna put my tablet over there and just like start watching it. And I know the moment I do that, after 30 or 40 minutes, I'm gonna fall asleep. So it's like a trick that I have. That's what I do. So I would watch and
You
I would go.
simulated your mind.
Yes, right.
And the other thing that I notice is you have pretty good time management habit. around making the list and time blocking, and then you have certain blocks that are kind of daily, like daily standing or some kind of meeting. So
Yeah.
is this something that you've been following for a long time, or how did you come up with it?
I actually would say that it's been like a habit for a long time since I was in school. So it's kind of like a roller coaster ride, I would say. Since I was in school, when I was in fourth class, I had this urge to do some more work. I had to study hard because there were things that people understood very well and I did not. And it kind of made me feel that I'm lacking in some subjects. I'm not by any
Mhm.
means a very good, I would say, student in terms of getting marks. I like to study for the purpose of, applying something. But if it's to study for marks, I cannot do that. So I thought I was lacking somewhere. So I started getting up around 4 or 4:30 a.m. in the morning. So when I was in class fourth, I started doing this. And so it became a habit to wake up in the morning early and like go back to sleep at night like pretty early. And so after that, what happens is that in the mornings when you are awake, you see that the whole world is quiet. It's very serene, it's calm.
Mhm.
So you can like manage your time better when you are up so early. So that's what I used to do. And back when I was in like my undergrad, I had the same thing because we had classes at like 9 a.m. in the morning. So before like going to class, I used to play basketball. So to play basketball, what I would do is like wake up before time at around like 6 a.m., go for basketball at 7 a.m., play till like 9 a.m., and then like get ready for classes and go for back and forth. So it would like really depend on my schedule of the
Mhm.
classes that I had. So I managed my time around those things. And to be really honest, it has worked well for me so far.
Yeah, I mean, many people just start their day and then let things dictate whatever they are doing throughout the day. So,
Yeah, yeah.
because I'm excited with this, I want to get even more deeper. Do you use some kind of technique to identify what's the most important thing for that day or week?
Actually, that's a good question. So before my like week starts, when I say week, I would say like the working day, which is Monday, the dreadful Monday when it
Mhm.
starts. What I do is that before that, I have my weekend. And on weekends, go and look at my tasks like very thoroughly. So, what usually happens is that my sprint is of 2 weeks. So, every Wednesday, there's a status update. And like on the alternate weeks, on Wednesday is when we get a task assigned. So when a task is assigned, that meeting starts at 9:30 p.m. At night at my time. So what I do is like when we get a task assigned and everything, I go on that day. I do not do any programming. I just review whatever the task I have. I talk to people that if you can, let me know
Mhm.
much better what you think is the right step and what are the achievables we need to have and what would you consider that this ticket is done. So I go and ask those people to do that on that day, and then when I have done that, I go and like reread the things. I go back and forth. It's like that I am going through breadth first search. I just go through each and every file, make a like logical explanation in my mind how it's working and how I can fix it by talking to people and things
This
like
is
that.
for the task that you will begin
Yeah.
that is sprint, or for the task that you just completed in the last 2 weeks?
No, that this is for the task that will be starting in the next sprint.
Okay.
Yeah. So what I do is like that's how it happens. I go and do that for like Wednesday and Thursday. This is what I'm doing the whole day, thinking about other tasks, like going each and every task, thinking about the stuff, going through going through ChatGPT or Google or Stack Overflow. I actually use ChatGPT less. I still prefer Stack Overflow more. I go and read the official documentation. I try to find that if I get that. I try to experiment with stuff just so I know what's going on. And when I've done that, I just start blocking my time that, okay, for the next day, I'm going to do this. For the next day, I'm going to do this. And this is what I need to achieve. So I have a very clear goal in my mind that I need to achieve this. I need to at least be on this level so that I can call it a day. Because to me, what happens is it's that, like, I can tell you right now, it's 11 a.m. my time. And for the last, you could say 24 hours, I haven't slept. I haven't slept till the last day is 1 p.m. I haven't slept for like today at all. I was working late in the night doing some like coding. And so for me, it's like that I have to like make my brain sleep because I just keep on thinking and thinking and thinking what I
Mm.
can do, what I cannot do. And so sometimes it takes a toll on yourself, as I am
Is
very
this
aware.
the coming week is the one when the sprint will be ending?
So, no, the next week after that.
Okay.
Yeah. So the thing is
So
that,
random question.
yeah,
A random question. How is your sprint completion kind of a rate, or how well you do with your sprint commitments?
I complete 95% of the tasks if they are well defined and if they are well within my range. Because
Okay.
my thinking is like I suffered a little bit. I had a little less in the last month. I suffered a little because I cannot push bad quality code because in our software is open source. It's you can see my like commits every day. So the problem is that whatever I do is going to be in the public space and in the public domain. Whenever you have the open source software, if something breaks, you will have to like will have to block your time. These are things that you are not aware of, or even if you are aware of, you are not aware of how you will fix this. So it's something that you can say is like the uncertainty. So you have to always like account for the uncertainty in your work. And so what I do is that I always strive for quality code. To me, quality code is more important than like completing the task. So right now what I do is like I try to make it so that whenever I'm doing something, I can at least say that, hey, this is like a workaround thing, but this will be fixed. You don't have to worry about it. This will still work for the time being.
Mm.
And we can like always iterate over it because how good is a software? Like how good can good be? So that's how I think.
Man, we just explore a couple of things, right? That when the task is assigned to you, I mean, the task is not assigned, you pick the task
Yeah.
and then you immediately break it, and then you gather as much as information that you can, and then you're tracking yourself toward the completion, and you didn't sleep last 2 days because you are too much into that challenge or problem or whatever feature that you're building, right?
Yeah.
And then on top of that, you have your own drive to write the quality code, to be conscious about what people will think who are looking at your code, and these are all different aspiration which is beyond your manager and your company, right? Because you're not doing all these because your company said so or your manager said so, right? You're not trying to gain their appreciation. It is your internal drive that is making you do all this.
Yeah, I believe in code ownership. So whenever I'm writing a code, even if it's like, if I'm working on someone else's code, I go and ask the person, like if I am tagging the person, before that I go and tell that, hey, I made this change. I did not understand. If they like most people don't leave comments or anything, I would say that. And the people mostly agree. Yes, we do not leave comments. We are
Yeah.
programming. I leave a lot of comments. I like leave comments. There are some Easter eggs as well. That if I'm naming a variable something, if I name a variable say Jedi, I will say
Yeah.
yeah, the dark side is always good or something like that. Or I will leave a quote, random quote out of nowhere. So in my code, you can find things like these. And so what happens is that if I am not finding comments in someone's code, I'll go and personally comment it because I'm in the process of
Mm.
like understanding what they are doing. So I will like just write it and then I will ask the person that what you thought when you were writing this code and he will say this and I'm like, okay, noted it down. And so before I do something, I go for if I modify someone else's code, I'll ask them so that they don't yell and scream at a later stage that hey, you did this. This was not supposed to be done like this. So I do that. And then when I like modify it and then I leave comments and everything. So my
Mm.
innate drive is to make it as good as possible because I think that somebody else over there would be like me who's trying to understand the code, but he would not understand why it was written there in the first place. Code is supposed to be readable for me, but the comments they should indicate why it was used, like what was the intention to put it, not to write what it does. You can pretty much understand what it's doing. For that you have the like function docstring and everything. The comments should be there to indicate why it was there, the intention behind using that line of code, because there are multiple ways to
Hmm.
doing the same thing.
So before we move to the next segment, I wanted to ask you, you've been here for like 2 years now, correct?
Yeah.
In last 2 years, if you want to share some exciting project or code or module or feature, whatever you've been built that you found like one of the most exciting thing that you've done?
I mean, there has been a lot of code. I pretty much code every day. It's a lot of code that I have. But there is one that's like online. It's the one I did recently. It's creating the like documentation for the website. So, like, if you go online, you can go to the OpenBB Finance repo. Please star and subscribe to it. So, if
We'll
you,
do it.
yeah, please do. So, when you go there, there's in the website folder, there's a file called generate platform v4 markdown. What it essentially does is that it takes in the functions that are already defined in our code and the function parameters, the fields. We are using Pydantic, which is a library that allows us to like define the fields for our data. So it takes in those structure, it takes in that Pydantic structure, it takes in the output. So those are the classes, and it generates a README file, which is like hosted on the website of OpenBB
Mhm.
for the platform. And so I had the task. I would say I am very grateful to my colleague. He like asked me, "Do you want to do it?" I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "It's a challenge." I'm like, "Great, I'll do this." So what it does is like I created everything from the scratch in it. So it was a
Mhm.
messy code. It was just there for the sake of like getting things done since we ship fast. So my internal, like my first thing was that there were a lot of imports. So I saw that there was a particular import docstring parser. So docstring parser
Mhm.
is used to parse the docstrings. I did not want to do that. So I removed that external dependency and reduced the internal dependencies by 60%. So my intrinsic thinking was to make it fast, and that is by removing the internal dependencies a lot and then making the code more modular, more structured,
Mhm.
and then making it more readable so that people understand what is going on. So I worked on it for like a week, and until the very end, I asked people to like give feedback and like suggest me things they want
Mhm.
and things like that. And when it was like I thought it was perfect right now, I simply went ahead and merged it, and I was scared. It was something that has to be deployed in docs. So for deploying it to docs, it has to be merged to develop first. So I went and saw that, okay, let's see how it deploys in the production. When I saw, pretty much I was very relieved, first of all, but I was very happy because that code
Mhm.
that I have written is working perfectly. It's doing what it's supposed to do, but it's making the docs much, much better than the
Mhm.
previous version. And it was a big work. It was a big task. I wrote around 1000 plus lines of code in it.
What was the technology?
The technology is nothing particular. I'd say it's mostly, you could say, we have internal libraries. So we are using Fast API and we are using Pydantic. So in particular, the technology is basically like using those things and then like using functions
Okay.
that are able to extract that particular, file structure. So for the classes, you can get the like, if you are using Pydantic, it gives you the model schema of the fields in the class. So what I would do is like I would use a function to get me all those fields for a particular, you could say provider. Provider in this case, I mean the data source. Like it's coming from
Right.
this website or that website. So I would get all these fields. And then it's a matter of like clever data engineering and like doing clever manipulations. So by that logic, I would say I am a good data engineer because the work that I did was to create a very specific file for documentation called the reference.json file. So it's a structure that holds
Mhm.
the data for making the documentation. And so I would first generate the reference file. When that's done, you can do
Mhm.
everything with that. So I had to like at night, I would go and sit and see how I wanted the structure. Based on the older documentation that we had, I went ahead and I devised a structure that I wanted. Everybody loved it. And I think now we are going to create our own API spec. So that is my current task for this sprint is to use it for the other products that we have in our pipeline, which is the terminal
Mhm.
V4 and the platform CLI. So it's supposed to be something that we would scale up to be used for other products and not only the documentation that we have right now.
Got it. Got it.
Yeah.
One last question on this. When you started this project, did you do some kind of design, some kind of activity before you start writing the code?
This code in particular, or
Yeah.
like, I wouldn't say like any specific activity or anything. I mean, I just went and saw, and then like when I saw the code, I was
It
okay.
was
I'm
an
like,
existing
oh,
code, so you had the idea of what has been done.
yeah, I saw the code, but I then I saw the code when I first started using that previous version of the code. It asked me to install a dependency. When it did that, I'm like, okay, one red flag, gone,
Okay.
1 point less. Then I started using it, and then I saw it's only dependent on the doc string that we are generating for our functions. I'm like, okay, second red flag. You can get the same data, and you should not use the doc strings that are generated because it's a parallel
Right.
process. The platform is the one that is generating the other products. So it's not, I wouldn't see that as a very good thing that I have to use the doc strings. Second red flag. Then the overall structure of the code, not very clear, no comments, everything, too many like regex statements and nothing
Right.
in particular. I'm like, okay. So when I looked at that, I was like, okay, I'm not going to look at this code. I'm just going to redesign everything that I have on my end. And so I like completely cleared that file. I deleted that file. I'm like, okay, new file in progress. So the only thing that I did was to use that file to generate the new files for the documentation. We are using Docusaurus. Oh yeah, that's a technology that we use for the docs. I forgot to tell. So for Docusaurus, you have to like create the markdown files and the JSON files that are going to, place those particular files in a order. And so what we do is like we place the files in a particular order. For me, it's alphabetical. So alphabetically, you can get that okay, you want the price for crypto. It starts from C, it's there. You want the price of an equity, you can go to E and you would find it like that. So the markdown files I generated from there, but then I never looked back at the code because I wanted to see how the files are being generated, which is the main thing that I
Mhm.
have to generate. And DocuSource would take care of the other things. So that's what I did.
Right. Awesome. So, all right, let's switch gears slightly. I want to talk about two things. Number one, how did you get this job? And before that, you have done or you have attended New York University. So let's start there. How did that idea come? Like why you decided to go and do
Masters?
a degree from there?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, it's actually a good question. I mean, it makes me go back to my like childhood days. My uncle, he's been in the US for a long time. He has been there since 2002 or 4, I guess. So I was very young at that
Mhm.
point of time. And so he went like at that point of time. So the thing is that when I saw him, he would come from the US and he would get me things. I got my PlayStation Portable because of him. And you could say I'm a gadget geek. I love gadgets very much,
Mhm.
but I don't love gadgets just for like owning them. I love gadgets for what I can do with them. And so when I was young, I used to watch these cartoons or TV shows, and I would see that people in the US, they have so many like, things with them. They have these resources at their disposal. I fell in love with the way they had the resources and they had the capacity to do things that simply I could not even imagine in India at that point of time. Since if I had to like get a sensor or anything, I would have to like go online. Even like having internet access is like I did not have internet access until I was in class fifth because my uncle came and he wanted to do his work, so we got internet installed in our home. Up until that, it was like going to internet cafes where you would not like get so much time to do
Mhm.
stuff. And so by that time, you would be like, by that logic, you would be limited to doing stuff that you wanted to do freely. So, in essence, when that happened, I got to know about the, world. I would go to YouTube and see, oh, there's a website. Great. Oh, there's this. Great. Oh, I can do this. Nice. And then, I'm very curious by mind. So I would just like go up and like start seeing things. So I've seen like Google evolve when it would not give like it would not give correct results. And now it's like damn good.
Mhm.
I've seen Google from that time. And I have like, used Google for specific queries that we have. And I've done that. And Wikipedia. I used to see Wikipedia and YouTube a lot and go to instructables.com, hackaday.com, and I would just be mesmerized oh wow, all these projects you could make because you had Radio Shack, you had events, you had so much stuff.
Right, right.
And I am from a small city in India called Kanpur. Kanpur is famous for its leather products worldwide, but we did not have those things, not even in school. So I could barely do something if I even wanted to. I would be like, okay, if I have to do this, I have to either wait for a long time or ask my father, and it would cost a lot of money. So I cannot simply afford to do things like these. And so
You
I,
know, I want to share. I'm so tempted to share at this point. I'm from Hoshangabad.
uh-huh,
So my childhood up to 10th grade was in Hoshangabad. And I like to create these electronic circuits. In those time, I created a clap switch that my niece loved so much. Like whenever she would come to our house, that's one activity she would do entire day. So I used to do that, but for getting the component for that, I
yeah,
would go order and then wait for a week, sometime 3 weeks to
yes.
get that component and then try it. And then I would find something is missing and then another 2 weeks of wait. So I have experienced the pain that you're talking about
Exactly,
deeply.
exactly. The resources at hand. And so, like, when I came to my undergrad, when I started attending my undergrad college, but that time we had things at our disposal. The internet was there. There were websites that were like selling products. And so it was a trusted website from where you could get parts. And we discovered Banggood, and we discovered
Mhm.
a way to get products for free from Banggood, basically like getting refunds for products. They were working, but we would just like, make the boxes look like we would scan the pictures of the boxes and like click them in a way that it would look that they have arrived damaged, but they were not. And so we would get like refunds for products. So I've done quite a
I know
lot.
we've done things like that, and now we would. I mean, I go back and think like, what a silly thing. Like it wouldn't even cost that much in today's salary and everything that we have. So
Exactly.
now,
Exactly. So I have done a lot of that. But when I got into undergrad, I started to see the world from a different angle. I went and I saw that I am not now a free bird because now I can pursue what I like. I have always been an engineer at heart. And for
where did you do your bachelor?
my
Undergrad?
bachelor's,
Where did you
yeah,
do it?
I did it from Lovely Professional University. It's in Punjab on Jalandhar Delhi GT Road.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I did it from there. It's a good university. It has great infrastructure, especially for people who want to like just study and get a job. It's particularly basically
Mhm.
a very good university for those reasons. My particular interest was not doing job. My interest has always been research and development because from a very young age, I like to, see things, make things my own, customize them myself, learn about the, deeper impacts of those things. So because of that, I taught myself, do you know, when I was in class eight and in class ninth, I bought the book for operating system that is taught in bachelor second year. It's the gold standard for operating system books. It's called Albert Silver Shards. He's the author. And so we call it the dinosaur book because it has dinosaurs on it. That and so I got that book and I completed it within a year. So I knew about operating systems.
Mhm.
I knew about hardware. I have been programming since the age of 6. And I have been making robots since I was in class fourth by like, getting those DPDT switches and like soldering them and then like, to a motor driver and then using them to control the robot in those plastic boxes. So I've destroyed a lot of plastic boxes for that reason. So I got started with robotics when I was in school. And then when I went up the ladder, when I came in class 12, I had a pretty good idea of what I wanted to be. I wanted to be in research and development. I wanted to make things just for the sake of, having fun. But also at the time, I had the ambition to understand that I want to do something that helps humans or something that helps
Mhm.
people. Not necessarily it's like, helping people in general, but like it helps professionals or something like that. It gives you, it kind of like an underdog thing. And when I did my bachelor's, when I went there, I met a couple of great people. And I was the head of the organization that was for robotics. It's called Risk. So I became a head with my best friend, one of the co-heads, and it was in my second semester. So that was pretty young for me to be like handling a robotic organization that is the oldest technical organization in my university. and started making robots, participating in competitions. So I got a lot of mentorship from I got a lot of mentorship from the other students, my seniors basically. So I'm very grateful to them to like teach me about things. So I used to learn about designing from my mechanical senior. I used to learn about circuits from my electronic senior. I was pretty good in computer science, so I would do all the programming for which didn't need any special instructions. It was just passion and willing to learn things and willing to explore, like taking the risk to explore and do things. And then at that point of time, I started watching in American TV shows more. So I stumbled upon Big Bang Theory. I can say, and I think many people who have watched Big Bang Theory will say that it is one of the TV shows that inspires you to be in the research and development, to be a scientist or an engineer for any case. Like, it is a very inspiring show because of the way they present things. It makes it look fun. Yeah.
I really like that Siri show in which they actually treat a Siri as a person.
Oh,
It
yeah.
was fantastic episode.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. When Raj goes and sees that, hey, Siri is a
Yeah,
real person. Oh, I can shoot my shot with that. So yeah, for me the funniest episode is the one when Sheldon is like, he has to have lunch with his best friend, and then he goes on and has lunch with Penny, and so he's like, he is like the whole day just making things work because he has eaten a lot and he does not have the capacity anymore, and so he has to lie, which is he never does lie, he never lies, and he has to do that. So he's like, shifting his way out of things. So I started watching that, and then I was like, yes, I want to pursue my like passion. I want to be a robotics engineer. I want to be a good engineer. I love hardware and software both. It's not like that I'm a CS engineer, so I should only love software. I love software and hardware both. And I was making robots, so it like fueled that passion. And then I started working in my fresher year. I started working with
yesterday we was talking about my daughter's robotic club
yeah.
and robotic competition. You can start a club in India for this exact same program, and they have helped starting clubs in India. This team has
Mhm,
done, and many other people does it. So maybe let's remember the next season start in August, September,
mhm.
August actually, August time frame. At that time, let's see if you are interested. Then this team can help you start a club there.
Oh yeah, definitely. I would love it.
You start with 5, 10 people, kids, high school and middle school kids.
Yeah, exactly. I would love it. I mean, yeah, that's the thing. That when I saw these
You would
things,
be amazing.
I would love to. I mean, I love doing that. I teach my uncle's son, like he asks me for stuff. So I teach him that, hey, you see Minecraft, you can do this on Minecraft. You can go and like do this on a keyboard. You can go and do this stuff. So I try to explain I try to explain things to him as much as I can in the most simplest of terms, the most difficult of things. So like coming back to the topic, yeah, that's what I did. I started as a research assistant also for my professor. So at that point of time, machine learning had picked up, and data science was already a like field that everyone wanted to be in. It is called the sexiest job of the century, but I don't think that's the case anymore. Everyone is now going to be an AI engineer I wanted to be in machine learning and not data science since I loved
Mhm.
programming the algorithms more than like using them. So I started working with my professor, and we were working on neurofuzzy systems. That's like making neural networks with fuzzy logic. And so it's kind of the system supposed to make AGI possible, which is artificial general intelligence. So I started working with that. And for 3 years, so for the next 3 years, I worked as a research assistant to him. And then when it was my second year, when it was time to understand stuff about jobs and everything, I was like, no, I'm not going to pursue a job here. I don't have the scope here. I want resources.
Mhm.
The resources are not here. I would be called an ML engineer over here, but I would not be getting the pay I deserve. I would not be getting the work I deserve. The work that is there, it's
Mhm.
either in the US or Europe. So in Europe, I saw that they had more jobs for data engineers, and in the US, they had more jobs for machine learning engineers. So I chose that I should pursue my master's and that should be in the US. So I chose US. And when it came to universities, I went and saw what universities had what professors, like what subjects and everything. And
Mhm.
so I applied to a couple of them. I got selected at around six universities or seven universities. And I
Wait,
got,
you were at second. You said you were second year at that point or third year at that point?
no, when I started working as a
Or
research
second year?
assistant, I was in second year. So I was in my, you would say junior, it's called junior, I think. No, it's called sophomore. So I was
Mhm.
in my sophomore year when I started working as a research assistant. When I was in my junior year, that's when I started looking about the universities and everything.
Okay.
And yeah,
Okay.
and
Okay.
that's when I like decided that I wanted to pursue my masters in the US because they had the resources and everything. So I started looking at the universities where I thought I could go into. COVID happened, and so they stopped the use of GRE, which is good for me. I did not have a very good GRE score because I do not like to study
Mhm.
for, marks. It makes me anxious. And so I got a little boost because of that, I could say, unironically. And I applied to NYU. I was of the opinion that, okay, I can apply. They are giving me a fee waiver, like they are giving me an application fee waiver. It's fine. And they wouldn't select
Mhm.
me. And they selected me for masters in computer engineering. I applied for masters in computer science, but they selected me for computer engineering. So I went ahead and saw, okay, these are the subjects that I can take and they look pretty good. And I also was of the opinion that
Mhm.
they might introduce some good subjects later on. And they did. So when that happened, I chose NYU because my uncle lives in New Jersey. So it was close for me to go and see my uncle. It was New York. New York has always been the place that I like wanted to see. That whenever I would go in the US, New York would be the place I would want to be in. And it sort of
Mhm.
all worked out. It sort of worked out. I went to New York University, started my master's. I went to that London Engineering School. It's a damn hard school for all that matters. It's a damn hard school. They like, they suck the energy out of you. Their subjects, they are so demanding, but they make you learn so much within a short span of time. So I had to adjust myself to that. I did that. I was stupid that I took too many difficult courses. So my first course that I took over there was like computer architecture, where I had to design up basically a CPU. I had to like do that as an assignment with my friend, and
Mhm.
and then I saw the output. I was like, dude, we just made a CPU, a small CPU. He was like, yeah, and it was fun. So I cherish that part of my life that I went to New York
Mhm.
for my master's. It did help in a couple of things because whenever people ask me, I can just say that, yeah, I went to New York for my master's. It's the same school that Suana Khan went for the other people who are in movies and everything.
Man, so you just cover your high school aspiration, converting that into the engineering, and then your master's. What a journey. And you just followed your passion. See that you have some kind of ability to understand your inner drive. I noticed that when we was talking about your current work and how what drives you, I noticed it there, and then I saw the glimpse of that when we was talking about your education journey.
Yeah. Why is that? My inner drive. I have been like, when I used to think about robots, and I would watch movies and I see robots like something that act like humans. They act like humans. They do things like humans. I would just ask myself, what makes a human human? What makes me a human? I think about things in that sense. Like, there are genders and everything. So I think about something more deeper. I think about the soul. Does the soul have a gender? Is it like always determined? Or is something that gets determined later? What is the core aspect? Even in Hinduism, we have the concept of like, the Atma, the soul. It goes
Mhm.
away. And this is just a, carrier for the soul, the body. So it decays, it goes back where it came from, to Ganga. So I think about stuff in that sense a lot. So when I used to see a robots, I would think to myself, my inner drive has to be understanding what a human is. And then when I am able to understand what a human is, I'm able to understand what I am. because it gives me the idea about different people, why people choose to do the things they want to do. There are people who don't want to do anything. There are people who want to do many, many things. There are people who only want to do things when people ask them to do things. So it's a
And then
bubble.
there are people who want to do XYZ thing, but then they don't do anything.
Yeah, yeah,
They couldn't do it. I mean, I personally been to a phase where I want to do really good, but didn't do anything. Like I couldn't do anything. I mean, I gone through multiple phases. I see so many people who have the potential, who
yeah,
have the desire, but then for whatever reason, they don't do anything, even though they know exactly how to do it.
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I have been through that phase, not like you, but I have been through it a little. What I observed is that I would keep that spark alive in me. I would not let that spark die, because if there's a spark, I can
Mhm.
always use that spark to create a fire. But if I don't have the spark, the fire dies out. And that's basically been my goal the entire life, is to keep that spark alive. And
Mhm.
what that spark is, the spark is to help people. It's to help my country. It's to make the people of India, like, more technologically advanced. Like, not, I would say that's not like a goal thing, but the goal here is to make people understand that not everything has to be one sided. Not everything has to be like that. You can be kind and humane at that point of time, and you can also do stuff what you want. So I do stuff for the heck of doing it. I just like to do it. I want to prove to myself that yes, I am a good programmer. No matter what, I can learn about stuff, even if it looks like that it's something very difficult. I i don't shy away from like going and exploring it, because I would see that at the end of the day, if I knew nothing, I would know even 2%, I would know something. That something matters a lot to me. I don't care what anyone else says. It matters a lot to me.
100%. Let's quickly connect the dot between your masters and after that, how did you get this job?
Yeah, the job. So, to anyone who is going to expect that I gave lead code or I gave a TS interview, no, I did not give any of those. It Nothing. I just proved. I am not a fan of those things. It was a good principle for some companies, it's not anymore. My work involves data engineering, so I use like data structures in my day-to-day life. So I have to devise like clever data structures and like use functions and programs to make sure that those data structures are uncovered on a very optimized level. So I just proved to my work by going to the repo. The question is how I stumbled upon that repo. I was asked by the CEO as well during my one-on-one with him before I was hired. So I told him that I was looking for a tool. I have been interested in finance. So I was looking for a tool where I could get the data I want for doing my machine learning project, and that too for free. Finance data is not free. And getting access to like even little a good data for finance is difficult. And then when you want to get that data, you have to like use their APIs and everything. So if I wanted to connect to like three or four data sources, I would have to
Mhm.
like learn the three or four data libraries. It's not a problem to do that, but it's a problem to like get the data from each and every one of them and club them together. It makes your code a little messy. So I went and like found out about OpenVB, and then what I did was like I went ahead and I downloaded the software. I got some problems. So I told the team that I found these problems. But me being me, I don't like to wait and I don't like to wait for solutions. If I don't get a solution, I'll just go and like try to fix
Mhm.
it myself. That's how I like to be. I like it hands on. So I went ahead and I was like, okay, Python, great. Pandas, pandas is good. I am a master at pandas. I can brag about that. I have I have done complex pandas like manipulations, and I have the code as an image from my friends, and he's like, "Dude, you did this. This is damn amazing." So I saw that there were functions and everything, and I saw the problem by debugging it. I just went ahead and I created a pull request that hey, it fixes this problem. Have you encountered this problem? Yeah, like yeah, it's quite a lot that people encounter. I was like, I went through it and I found a fix for it, and they said, cool. So I did not have a job at that point of time. I was still looking for a job.
Mhm.
And there had been some like incidents in my family where where I was like totally fed up of coding. I was like, okay, I don't know if I want to even code anymore. But just so that I wanted to give it a like a last chance, what I did is that thought to myself, okay, let's give a last chance and like just do this for fun. So I used to wake up in the morning and treat it as a like a 9 to 5 job. Go ahead, see the problems, doing my project, create a pull request if I find any issues or if there are issues that other people face and I know how to fix them. And so
For this specific project or for any project?
no, for this specific project, I did this.
Okay.
And when I did this, I used to do this in my morning, and the person at the night and the person in that point of time would be in like the US. And at night, he would see that there was a pull request linked for a particular issue. And so my
Mhm.
COO currently, Dr. James Maslick, he's a great guy. He would see and he would tell me that, dude, I go to sleep and I always knew that there's going to be a pull request from you any day of the week. There is going to be a pull request from you at like 10 or 11 p.m. my time. And I don't know what you are doing. So I just have to like, before I sleep, I have to go and check out your PR and I get scolded for that.
At that point, you did not know that they could offer you a job, yeah? You
Yeah.
was just doing it because you wanted to do.
Yeah. I
You had
just
no
want,
idea this would
yeah.
turn into a job.
Yeah, I was using it for my project. I was free, so I created a Python wrapper for a library called DeFi Llama. DeFi Llama is a library that
Mhm.
like tracks the DeFi data. They have very good dashboards, but they don't have an official Python library. So I created an API for it. It has like I checked yesterday. It has 12,000 stars. I created it last year. I published it on PyP. It has 12,000 downloads, not stars, sorry. It has 12,000 PyP downloads at this point of
Wow,
time. And I'm amazed. And like around 540 downloads on Anaconda. So it's a big, I could say it's a success. I never thought it would be that famous.
definitely.
Yeah. So I was looking to like, make it a public thing that, okay, people can use this library and I can get fame a little. So I went and I saw that software and I saw that I could integrate my own library. But then I saw they had already integrated. So I was like, okay, fine. I can just go and see if they are updated or not.
Mhm.
And I used it for my software. I used it for my project actually. And I would just go and find problems and fix it because I was using it for myself. And I would see people had faced these same issues. And I did not have a job and I did not anticipate that they would hire me. And they said, okay, we will hire you. After 2 months, they said, okay, we will start you as an intern. And if you do good work, we'll hire you. But when I became an intern, I knew I was going to get hired because at that point of time, we had started working on the platform. And since I knew
Uh-huh.
everything about the platform from the top down, how it worked, I had an idea of the very basic project that was going. So it would give me an edge. So I'm the person like who's the junior most at the company. I'm the only Indian at my company, only person from India. And I am well aware of each and everything that is happening with the platform, like how each and
Mhm.
every code file works. And so that is like a very good, you could say, like that's an edge that I have. And
Yeah.
so like when that happened, I was pretty amazed because when this gave me an internship, I was also working as an intern at another company. I had got an internship, but they said it would be till December and then we will offer you full time subjective to your performance. And I got work as a data engineer at at a robotics company in India. It's
Mhm.
called Miko. It's based in Mumbai. My elder sister used to work there. So I got a job as a data engineering intern over there. So I used to use Python and SQL for my day-to-day task. And then I used to work at night for my current company. So I was like doing, you could say, 80 hours per week. And I would be like,
Wow.
my day would be like, waking up, getting the job done for the Indian company, taking a break for an hour,
Mhm.
going back and doing the job for the US company, sleeping, and then repeating the same pattern till Monday to Friday.
Wow.
And Saturday, I would just sleep. Saturday would be the day I would sleep. Saturday would be the day I would sleep, and Sunday would be the day I'm thinking, okay, what to do for the next week. And then when they gave me the job, I was like, okay, I'm leaving because I wanted to work at this company where I found like colleagues who could help me become a better developer.
Mhm.
It was about stability. It was about learning from the best people. And my colleagues,
Right.
they're so good. They help me so much think about things. I talk to them about stuff. I voice my disagreements in a very positive way. They take it positively, the feedback. And we have this banter that when we talk about things, we want to see what the software is looking like and how good it can be. What's a good software? Rather than saying that, hey, you are wrong, I'm right, or that I am wrong and you are right. It's nothing like that. I love that with my colleagues. They're superb.
Now, Pratyush, at some point, I'm kind of feeling the passion for robotic, which I don't know if this job has or not, but at some point, I'm thinking that that part will come. And one thing that I can attest, I can say that there are so many turns that your career takes, and as long as you remember the reason why you are here, what drives you, it will take you to the direction. And it's typically 30-40 years long. Like career is 30-40 years.
Yeah.
So you will find that. And I think I will connect you with some of the team members and just talk to them about starting a team in India.
Yeah, definitely. I would
And
love to.
that can fill some of your fulfillment bucket from from helping some kids
Oh,
do the
yeah.
robotics.
Yeah, definitely. We need people for robotics. Robotics is so cool because unlike
Yeah,
unlike the software
absolutely.
that you create and run on your computer, for robots you can program the software and it would like you could see the things in real life. Like you can make it like if you touch it, you can make it like hold your hand. It's so cool. You can see the
Right.
stuff in real life. My I
So
would
what
say
each team require one coach, one or two coach, and then couple of mentors, and you will be an amazing coach.
I would love to. I mean, thank you so much for the opportunity to even
Yes,
have that.
great.
I would love it.
All right. So I think we are about time. I will have last three questions for you. By the way, I thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. I know you for 6 8 months, but I saw some completely different glimpse, and I'm eager to share that with everyone. With whenever this episode will be released in couple of weeks. So I wanted to ask you: is there any question that I have not asked but you want to answer?
I think you asked about me, and that's good. I would say that there's nothing left. There are a lot of questions, honestly, that anyone can come up. But I think what I would say is that, not as a question, but as a person, I would say that to all the people who are going to pause this, never,
Mhm.
never think that you are lesser, never think you are greater. Keep building, keep working, and never forget why you started it in the first place. Like, never let the spark die. There might be
Right.
situations, circumstances where you are not having the luxury to even think about these things. I can understand, or I may not, but never let the spark die. Keep that spark alive somewhere. Even if you like sleep, just go back to sleep thinking about that stuff. It might make you feel sad or anything, but at the end, you will also understand that that spark is alive within you, and you still have you still can muster the courage to go and pursue that thing.
Awesome. There's so many people struggling to get their first job. You have you found your first job, and then you found the internship, you found the job, and you've been in that job for 2 years. Any message to them?
Say that if you want to get a job just for the sake of getting a job, it depends. It's a strategy game. It's not a number game. It's not a numbers game anymore. You have to strategize. You have to talk to people. You have to get things done so that you can get your foot on the door. The problem is not to get a job at a company you like. The problem is to get a foot in the door. When you have that, you can always move up from that ladder. You can always like switch places, but you need to at least be in that
Mhm.
position of power to leverage that thing. And then when it comes to having a job, no job is going to reject you if they see that you have the passion, you have the skills, the
Mhm.
the mental capacity to like handle the task at hand. You have to convince them that yes, I am the best man for this job. And to do that, particularly for like the CS branch, you need to be very passionate about stuff that you write. You need to be, you need to own your code so that you cannot blame it on people that, hey, it's because of you, it's breaking. You need to own your code, one thing, and then you need to be passionate and keep on learning. That's the third point, that you need to keep on learning. Our job is like not secure at all. I'd say that our job is always at a risk of being, replaced. So you always need to keep learning and keep upskilling yourself in the computer science. And if it's like any other place, for example, any other engineering branch, I think it would be the same thing altogether. But yeah, strategize. Don't just apply to 1,000 jobs per day or something.
And this was a Power Pack episode. Thank you so much, Pratyush, for coming on this episode. I thoroughly enjoyed your journey. There's so much excitement, so much passion, so much drive. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. I loved it.